Hello everyone, dear community, and a warm welcome to this new video. After having tested numerous lawn mowing robots on my channel in the past, I thought it was time for us to take a closer look at pool vacuum robots as well. Today on the table in front of us is the Degrii Zima Pro, a cordless pool vacuum robot with a lot of power and many other interesting features. What this pool vacuum robot really has to offer, how it performs in practice, and whether it's worth the investment or if you should stay away from this device, we will thoroughly examine all of this in today's video. I hope you're just as excited as I am. So, I would say let's start right after the intro. But if you haven't already, make sure to quickly subscribe to this channel and activate the bell to not miss any future videos. You can find the current prices of the robot to support this channel in the video description below. Thank you very much for your support, and with that, let's get started. The Degrii Zima Pro, a cordless pool vacuum robot with a systematic cleaning pattern, a lot of power, floor and wall cleaning capabilities, a hovering function, and many other features. This device already sounds very promising in theory, but whether it performs just as well in practice, we will thoroughly examine in today's video. But first, let's start with the contents of the package to see what exactly comes with this device. As you can see, the product box of the Zima Pro is quite appealing and well illustrated on the outside. Upon opening, we find a thin user manual at the top, exclusively in English, and a power adapter for charging the robot. Directly underneath, well protected by a thick styrofoam insert, is the actual pool vacuum robot with its control panel, and also two activated carbon filters are included. These are already installed in the robot from the factory. And that's it for the package contents. It's relatively straightforward. However, everything necessary is included to get the device up and running right away. Before we can use the pool vacuum to clean our pool, it's important to set up the device and adapt it to our pool. Let's start by establishing a connection to the device. For this, we need the so-called Degrii app on our smartphone. This app is available for free for both Android and iOS. After downloading, we open the app and need to register or create a user account to link the device. After registering or creating a user account, we activate the robot on the control panel and turn on Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, and GPS on our smartphone. After doing this, we can click Add Device in the app and it will automatically start searching for nearby robots. During my test, the device appeared on the display right away, and one click was enough to connect the robot. Next, the device asks for a Wi-Fi connection. It's important to be logged into our home network at this point. Then, we find our Wi-Fi network, enter the Wi-Fi password, and the robot will automatically start connecting to our Wi-Fi network. In my test, the whole process went smoothly, and the device connected to my Wi-Fi network completely on the first attempt. After the setup, we're prompted to photograph our pool so the program can allegedly create an optimized cleaning process based on our pool. But more importantly, the next steps involve classifying our pool. In the app, we need to specify the shape and material of our pool so the robot knows exactly what it's dealing with and can navigate effectively. We also need to enter the exact dimensions of our pool to ensure accurate navigation. You can either measure the pool with a tape measure or use a laser distance meter. It's crucial to enter the exact measurements so the robot can navigate properly. Lastly, we can go to Settings in the upper right corner and automatically download and install the latest firmware updates to ensure the device is up to date. And that's it. The device is now fully set up and ready to clean our pool. Overall, I must say, the setup process is very simple and self-explanatory, and in my test, it only took about 15 minutes. Before we take a detailed look at the Zima Pro in action, I suggest we start with the first impression and the exterior. I must say that the robot looks very impressive. Material-wise, it's made entirely of plastic, but it's a rather thick material, making the device not only appear high quality, but also very durable. Additionally, the build quality is flawless, with no plastic remnants, sharp edges, or uneven gaps. Moreover, both the pool vacuum robot and the floater on the right side are IPX8 certified, meaning they are fully protected against prolonged submersion, which is, of course, a given for a pool vacuum robot. Another aspect we should consider is the dimensions. As you can see from the device on the table and the displayed measurements, this is not a small device. This makes sense when we consider the maximum area coverage, which is a solid 450 square meters. Closely related to this is the weight, which I've also checked for you. The robot has a dry weight of around 10 kilograms, with the battery pack on the other side adding about 2.6 kilograms. With a total weight of around 12.6 kilograms, the robot is not exactly lightweight. However, it has a nicely sized handle on the back, also made of plastic, making it easy to lift out of the pool and transport. Many of you might be wondering, I've been talking about a cordless pool vacuum all this time, yet it has a thick, obvious cable at the top. That's correct. This robot is not entirely cordless. It just doesn't need an external connection, such as to a power outlet, which is right here. The only connection this robot has is to this part here, which is the battery pack and the control floater. In practice, this means the pool vacuum moves along the bottom and the control panel floats on the surface, trailing behind. Although it might look a bit odd at first, it offers the significant advantage of maintaining a constant Wi-Fi connection to the robot through the floating control panel. This also allows us to make direct adjustments to the robot even while it's working on the pool floor. Now, let's take a look at what settings can be adjusted on this control panel and the robot itself. As previously mentioned, the Degrii Zima Pro has two options for settings: the wired floating control panel and the settings directly through the app. Let's first take a look at the compact control panel. As you can see, the control panel has a total of 3 buttons, all located on the front, along with several LEDs and a clear layout. The most important button is at the top left in green for activating the robot. Next to it, displayed with 4 LEDs, is the corresponding battery level. Directly below is a small additional button for selecting the 3 modes, and on the far right is the button to start the robot. Other settings, such as working time, cannot be adjusted on this control panel. The more in-depth settings can only be made through the app. As for the initial impression of the app, I must say that I quite like it. It's clear, intuitive, and definitely not overloaded. The most important functions are directly on the home screen. For example, the current work progress is displayed as a percentage, and the remaining time is shown. In the upper right corner, the current battery status of the robot is displayed. Lastly, a pretty cool feature: a thermometer that constantly shows the current water temperature directly on the smartphone. So much for the output. The input, meaning the settings options, are much more extensive. In the middle is the most important button for starting the robot. We're always asked which mode we want to select, as the robot has 4 cleaning modes in total. We can also choose how long the robot should clean the pool and whether it should operate in standard or turbo mode. If we don't want to start the robot manually every time, we can also set a schedule so that the robot begins cleaning the pool regularly on its own. Another very practical feature: the cleaning pattern can be changed. We can decide whether the robot should move in parallel lines or use the zigzag pattern to clean the pool thoroughly. We can also adjust the previously mentioned pool classification details if we want to correct them. There are plenty of setting options in the app. One of the most important aspects is the robot's working principle, or how it navigates the pool floor. As mentioned before, there are 2 modes: cleaning in parallel lanes and the typical zigzag pattern, as we know from lawn mowing robots. Cleaning in parallel lines is, of course, much more efficient because it saves time by not covering the same areas twice. However, this requires orientation and practice, as the robot needs to know where it is on the pool floor. For this, the Degrii Zima Pro has a total of 4 ultrasonic sensors around the robot. These sensors are hidden under the 4 green covers around the robot, allowing it to navigate the pool floor based on the information we previously provided about our pool. From my experience, this works relatively well at first glance. Once the robot is in the pool and activated, it starts to orient itself and then proceeds to clean the pool in parallel lines. During my test, I noticed only slight deviations or shifts in the lanes. This means that the robot didn't manage to clean the entire area perfectly in one go. However, this isn't a big problem for me, as I simply let the robot run a bit longer. The battery capacity is more than sufficient, and eventually it cleaned the entire area. This isn't really a disadvantage if you don't mind whether the robot takes 30 minutes or 3 hours to completely clean the pool. What bothered me more, however, is that the robot sometimes seems to have slight orientation issues. After a certain cleaning duration, about an hour in my test, many air bubbles accumulated on the device's housing. These bubbles increase buoyancy, so when the robot deactivates the downward motor, it naturally floats to the surface. The robot then starts floating on the surface and reports in the app that it's stuck or needs to reorient itself. In my opinion, this is not a hardware issue as the device is well equipped. However, the software needs some fine-tuning to improve orientation and ensure better contact pressure on the pool floor. I also find it very practical that the robot has not just one, but 4 cleaning modes. We can clean the floor, the walls, both combined, and we can even manually control the device with the smartphone. This is particularly useful as it allows us to direct the robot into specific corners for detailed cleaning where it might not reach on its own. Similarly, I can steer it to the edge to lift it out from there. Regarding this, the robot has another trick up its sleeve. It features a so-called hover mode. When I activate this mode in the app, the robot climbs up the pool wall and stays at the upper water edge for up to 5 minutes. This allows me to easily lift the device out of the pool using the handle, thereby ending the cleaning process. In my experience, this usually works quite well, but not always. In most cases, the robot manages to orient itself and reach the water edge without issue. However, occasionally it misorients itself and reports being at the water edge while still on the pool floor. This is another orientation issue that could definitely be improved with a software update. Let's move on to the next important criterion, the cleaning performance. In this regard, I must say the Degrii Zima Pro performs extremely well. The most crucial factor concerning battery life is, of course, the built-in battery. The special feature of the Zima Pro, as mentioned, is that the battery is not inside the robot but in this separate unit. This unit weighs 2.6 kilograms and houses a 222 watt-hour battery, allowing the robot to operate for a considerable amount of time. The unit is charged through this port with the standard included power adapter, nothing special there. What is much more interesting is the battery life achieved by the device. The robot can clean an area of up to 450 square meters on a single charge. This means the device can handle not only small and medium, but also large pools with ease. As previously mentioned, it has multiple options for how long we can let the device operate. We can choose whether it should clean the pool for 1, 2, or 3 hours continuously. There's also an automatic mode where the app or the device calculates how long it needs to clean the entire pool. Personally, I would recommend letting the device run as long as possible to ensure every corner of the pool is thoroughly cleaned. Another factor worth mentioning is the maximum working depth. This device's depth is naturally limited because it has a cable attached and the unit floats on the surface. The cable itself is 3 meters long, giving the robot a maximum working depth of 3 meters. From my experience, this is more than sufficient for most common pools. Only swimming pools might be deeper, but the device is probably not designed for such use. Lastly, the most crucial point is the cleaning performance. How well can the pool vacuum robot clean my pool, and how well does it handle different types of dirt? To answer this, let's first look at the built-in technology. As you can see, the robot has a large cleaning brush at both the front and rear, each with a width of a solid 250 millimeters. This contributes to the particularly large area coverage of 450 square meters. The brushes loosen dirt from the pool floor, which is then sucked up by the built-in motor and trapped in the filters. The motor has a power output of a solid 250 watts, which is quite significant and proves effective in practice. In my tests, I subjected the Zima Pro to various common contaminants such as pollen, needles, leaves, and, very importantly, sand, something many pool vacuum robots struggle with. Regarding the results, I must admit I was quite surprised. Common contaminants like pollen, needles, and leaves were no problem for the device due to its high power and were completely removed in the first pass during my test. It also handled more challenging debris like sand without difficulty, at least to a certain extent. The collected dirt ends up inside the robot in the built-in filters. Notably, the Zima Pro has 2 filters, providing a correspondingly large capacity. Another advantage is that the filters are easily accessible from the outside and can be cleaned with a single hand movement. As you can see, the 2 filters are quite large, with a total capacity of an impressive 6.5 liters. This means they can hold a substantial amount of debris, which is expected given the enormous water throughput of 296 liters per minute that the device can achieve in practice. Not to forget, as you can see here, the filter is extremely fine meshed with a filter density of 180 micrometers, ensuring that even the finest grains of sand are trapped in this filter, as I have nicely demonstrated in the video. Another advantage is that the filter can be easily opened from the bottom with a single hand movement, allowing us to clean the filter quickly and easily with the water hose, making the robot ready for use again in no time. Overall, I must say that the Degrii Zima Pro makes a really good impression in my opinion. It offers a lot in terms of performance and features. It's designed for both very small and extremely large pools, which it can effectively clean in practice. The only thing I believe is still needed is some software adjustments and optimizations to ensure the device consistently cleans the pool without occasionally encountering major orientation issues. This would help guarantee 100% optimal results in practice. Alright, that's all from my side. Now it's your turn. What do you think of this pool vacuum? Have you had any experiences with this device? Feel free to share your opinion or even your experiences in the comments below. I'm looking forward to your feedback. Otherwise, if you liked the video, please show it with a big thumbs up to support this video. If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel for free and activate the bell to ensure you don't miss any future videos. You can find the current prices of the tested devices to support my work in the video description below. Thank you very much for your support of the channel, and with that, I'd say take care, see you next time. Until then, goodbye.